What's up everyone and welcome back to Anything Cook, the show where we show you your favorite recipe that you can make at home very easily. Today we're baking cinnamon rolls. Let's roll, baby. Now I already prepared the ingredients, so we're gonna have for the dough here up above, we're gonna have 180 milliliters of warm milk. We're gonna heat this up in a bit. We have 7 grams of quick rise or dry yeast, 50 grams of granulated sugar, 60 grams of butter that we're gonna be melting, 1 egg, 3 grams of salt, 200 grams of all-purpose flour. That is gonna be specifically for the dough. We're gonna be mixing this up in a bit. Down here we're gonna have the filling, which is gonna be the mix that we're gonna spread on the inside of the rolls. We have 200 grams of brown sugar, either light or dark, or as I'm doing here, you can mix this up. We have 30 grams of grounded cinnamon and another 115 grams of butter that we're gonna soften just a bit to mix with everything else. Now, I've seen this on many recipes. We're gonna have heavy whipping cream that we're just gonna pour on the rolls when we're gonna start baking them, just so they get a bit more fluffier. And for the tops, we're gonna have 120 grams of cream cheese, 60 grams of butter, 130 grams of powdered sugar, and some vanilla extract. Okay, so we warmed the milk, and now we can just take the yeast and put it with the milk. This is actually just so that the yeast can activate due to the heat of the milk. And once you add it to the milk, you will start smelling like the scent of it a bit. And you just like swirl it around a bit and mix this as best you can. This will really enhance our cinnamon roll to be able to rise and just be like even more fluffy and more delicious. Now to this we're gonna add the sugar, the butter and the egg. And just so I have an easier time, I'm just gonna put everything in that bowl here. So I'm gonna start with the butter. And then I'm just gonna add the yeast mix to it. Yep. Did a little bit of a spill right there. Once everything is added, you just like keep mixing this for a bit just to dissolve everything together very well. Now we're gonna add the salt and crack the egg in. And just mix it together again. Now it's gonna be time to add that mix to the flour, so we're gonna have to knead this with our hands, so of course jewelry is gonna be off. I don't think I've ever mentioned this, by the way, but this is my wedding ring, and so we went for a very cool design, like gold, silver and black thing, if the camera can focus. See that it has like those little leaves. It's very cool. Anyway, just thought I'd just show you properly my wedding ring because you've seen it in a lot of the videos, unboxing videos that I do. So yeah, here's a little tidbit. Okay, so now we're just gonna add the mix together. So this right here in the flour. So I'm just gonna make like a little like hole like this. I'm just gonna start pouring the mix in there. Not completely. I just want to be able to mix this up as I go. So just slowly like kind of mix it together and then add more and just go and add it like this over time. And for the final one, let's add everything. Now I'm just gonna drop the spoon and just go with my hand, kind of mix this all together. Once you start having a cohesive bowl like this, just take it out and we're gonna knead it just a tiny bit here on this. Once you get something that's like very smooth, you can stop the kneading and start to like putting it into like sort of a bowl like this. And we're gonna take a fresh bowl, coat this with some olive oil on the inside, just so the dough doesn't stick to it. You take your dough, you put it right in this bowl, put some plastic wrapper around the bowl, like that, and we're gonna let this rise until it has doubled in size. Now, we made quite a mess while making this dough, so let's clean this up. The dough is rising, so now we have like about an hour and a half, maybe 2 to kill while this is doubling in size. So we can just get ahead and make the filling already, so that it's ready when we can start baking this. For the filling, we're gonna need the sugar mix, the cinnamon and the butter, but we're gonna need to soften this because the idea is to make a thick buttery paste that we can spread onto the dough once the dough is ready and flattened. So I'm just gonna pop this in the microwave for like I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Depending on your microwave power, you might want to tune this down a bit. You just need this softened and on the brink of melting. You see, like a tiny bit melted, very soft and very ready to like be mixed with other things, but not completely melted. And we're just gonna combine everything. I'm just gonna go with the dry first. Let's make this up a bit. And then we'll just add the butter to it and mix this until it's well combined. So what you're aiming for is that kind of pasty stuff, because that's gonna be what's gonna go inside the roll, and that's what's gonna give the cinnamon rolls all their flavor. You see the paste is forming. There you go. That's the consistency you're looking for. There you go. That's the filling. We're gonna set this aside with the dough while it's rising. And not gonna lie, while the dough is rising and the filling is already ready, we kind of have nothing to do right now. So we're just gonna wait and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so it's been an hour that we've made the dough up to rise on the counter. So now let's just check where it's at. And obviously it's absolutely beautiful. You see how this has risen from what it was before? That's just what we want. So now we want to knead this a bit more and then flatten it so we can make rolls with this. Of course, you should keep a bit of flour on the side so you can put this on your hands so the dough will not stick to it, and also to put on your working surface so the dough will not stick to it as well. So there we go, just a tiny bit so that it doesn't stick. And now we can just like get the air out of that dough. Feels very light as well. That's cool. That's what we want. So let's just work this a tiny bit so we can get the air out. That's just what we want, basically. And now we're just gonna roll this. So I'm gonna put flour on this a bit again so it doesn't stick to the surface. Now get yourself a rolling pin and let's do this. I'm just trying to shape it right now in like sort of a big rectangle. Okay, so we have our dough all rolled up. Now we're just gonna spread this thing all over the surface. But before, there's an additional tip that you should know about when making this. And the trick is actually to bathe this dough right here, just in this state, with butter here on top. So you're gonna like eat some more butter in the microwave, and then you're just gonna like apply this a good thick generous coat here on the dough. And now we can move on to actually putting the spread on the inside of the dough. So you're just gonna smack that in here, and then you're just gonna like spread it around on the dough and make sure to cover the entire thing up to the edges. Dude, this one is like too small for that jug. That's what she said. Okay, way better this way. Perfect. Now, for this next part, there's a lot of techniques. You could either just take a knife and cut here to make the rolls, or you can roll it up and then use either a knife or ideally flossing thread to cut the rolls into even shape, because a knife will flatten the roll a bit. I don't have flossing thread around, not unflavored at the very least, so I'm just gonna roll it up and cut it with a knife. So you just lift the bottom part here, and then you just start rolling. And don't be shy, don't be just such a limp biscuit with it. Just roll it up all the way. Like that. Now I'm gonna transfer this onto this cutting board right here. Try not to break it or make a mess. And you want to leave the seam of the roll down so that it's sealed properly. And so let's start cutting these rolls. I'm just gonna divide by half here, just make a mark. Divide this by half again, and half again. Then do the same thing on the other side, and now we can start cutting these. Now, as I said, sadly, with cutting with a knife, you're gonna end up with like stuff that's kind of uneven like that, but I mean, it's no big deal. Still gonna be very good at the end of the day, don't worry about it. Now, I'm not gonna have enough space in that plate, so I'm just gonna take out another. And the reason is, of course, because I spaced them, because you want some space in between those cinnamon rolls so they can like double in size when cooking. Now let's do the other ones. See, those are gonna be a little too cramped up for my taste, but I think it's gonna be fine either way. And we're short of 2 rolls. I'm gonna try and see if I can like squeeze them up here with the others. Try to make some room. Now this is why you want to use dental floss thread to cut them, because you can see like I'm having some trouble getting them to stay in shape and getting the filling to stay inside. So if you can have dental floss that's neutral in taste, you can use that to cut them, and you're gonna have far an easier time like this. Now, of course, while we did that, you should have your oven preheated at 180 Celsius. And now that the oven is preheated, we have just made this cream lukewarm, and we're gonna pour this over our cinnamon rolls. We're just gonna add a bit on top of every one. And try to be like equal with everything. So I'm just splitting in between the two plates, but of course this one will have more. And what this is going to do is that the dough is actually gonna suck all the liquids during baking, and that's gonna make them even fluffier. So now this is all ready. Let's put them in the oven for around half an hour, or when they are light golden brown on top. Of course, we're in the kitchen and there's never a dull moment, so whilst this is cooking, let's clean this up. The timer just went off, so let's check on the cinnamon rolls. Woo. Oh boy. I think they're like slightly overcooked. Just slightly. Okay, so what happened here? Well, this batch was on top in the oven and this one was in the middle. So I think this one is not done yet. I'm just gonna put them back, and this one is like a bit overcooked. Regardless of that, while the other batch cooks just a tiny bit more, we're gonna start to prepare the icing for the cinnamon rolls. And of course I overdid it with the butter, so it's completely melted instead of just softened. But we're still gonna be able to do what we need to do with this. So we have our cream cheese. Of course the timer just went off, so I'm gonna take all the rolls out of the oven. There we go. Light golden brown on top. This is what you want when you're baking cinnamon rolls. So you can clearly see like these are well done. This is light golden brown and this is like overcooked, clearly. I mean, it's still gonna be edible, just not as enjoyable. But anyway, back to the topping. So we're gonna mix the butter with the cream cheese. I'm just gonna try and mix this together without making more of a mess. And then you want to slowly add the powdered sugar to it. So just go like bit by bit and mix this to combine. And as you go, you're gonna see like the frosting starting to come together. And there we go. Beautiful icing for our cinnamon rolls. Now all that's left is to add the vanilla to the icing. And now we have this beautiful vanilla icing to go on our cinnamon rolls. Now the trick, they said, with the icing is to actually put it on the cinnamon rolls when they are still hot. So we're just gonna try and put an even coat on all of those beautiful rolls. Well, I mean, half of them are beautiful, the other ones are kind of burnt. And there we have them, guys. So this is actually the ugliest batch. This is the one that's kind of a bit burned. But these right here, man, they look absolutely perfect. So now all that's left to do, of course, I mean, I went to all this trouble. It's not to go back with nothing to show for it. I'm just gonna get myself one. I'm just gonna carefully extract one of the cinnamon rolls from this batch. There we go. This into the plate. And let's have a taste. Now, I think like mine just aren't that high enough. I should have like cut these differently. I feel like with the whole log, you can just cut in the middle and then cut in 4 log. And then those logs you can just like, I don't know, maybe cut them a bit higher than what I did. But for now, let's just taste what those cinnamon rolls taste like. Oh my god. They're absolutely delicious. Okay, so the dough really is like fluffy, just like you want it. It's like, it's airy, so it's not that heavy when you eat this. The filling could use a touch more cinnamon to my taste, but that's just me. And the icing, oh my god. Amazing, absolutely amazing. They're so delicious. Guys, I have a problem. I made all of these, and I'm not sure there's gonna be any left when my wife gets home. Like, seriously, they're so good. You should try the recipe. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you loved those cinnamon rolls and you tried them at home, let me know in the comments how you did. And don't forget to subscribe to never miss anything cook. Bye, guys.